Marketing and communication completely changes when the cost of the product goes down. With my background, that is extremely limiting. By the way, if you want the system that we're covering in this video as a free checklist, grab the link in the description. You can have a PDF of everything we talked about. Is it difficult switching from B2B to B2C? Stick around, I'll let you know. First, let's start with the definition. What do these two terms mean? If you've watched me for any length of time, and if you haven't, subscribe and check out all of our back catalog, but you'll know that there's a couple things that I love. One is any sort of B2B marketing. Our agency, Experiment 27, is all marketing for other businesses. We run a consulting company that's B2B, and usually we focus on high ticket sales, meaning very expensive things and a low volume of those things. That's one way you can run your business. The other way to go is B2C, meaning business to consumer. That is a business that sells directly to people. Usually this is a lower cost item that you're selling a lot more of. For instance, I'm actually wearing the relic of one of my old companies here. This is an AlbertHalsey hat. AlbertHalsey was a clothing company that I ran for a while. Shut it down because I followed my own entrepreneurial principles, which is if you see the road ahead and you don't want to do it, just quit it and start a new project. That's why I ended that one. But let's talk about the difficulty of switching between B2B and B2C, because I have a decent amount of B2C experience as well. I used to run marketing at an artisan marshmallow company. I was doing a little bit of marketing consulting for a chocolate company. And then I ran AlbertHalsey, and Wohello also was a clothing company. So let's talk a little bit about it. The main difference I found between selling to businesses versus selling to consumers is the quantity that you're going to have to sell in order to make decent money. For instance, with the Quadrant and all of our companies within that conglomerate, we focus on higher ticket sales, which means our course right now is $1,000, which it might even be a higher price now. So check it out, email10k.com. For X27, our minimum is $4,000 to $8,000 a month. And what that allows us to do, and this is one of the main reasons I love selling B2B, it allows us to have fewer customers, which means less headache. I could make a healthy living off of X27, definitely enough to afford this apartment off of 2 clients. And that's crazy, because if I was working for this chocolate company or even selling these hats, I might have to sell 3,000 to 4,000 hats to get to the same level that I would get after just a couple clients with the B2B agency. And some people love doing that. There is something to be said about scale and creating ads that break through and doing that sort of thing. Even the other B2C startup I used to work at that was like a Groupon clone, even that type of business, when you're dealing with 3,000 sales, 4,000 sales, 1 million sales of something, you now have 1 million support tickets. Right? Especially if something's wrong with the product or there's some kind of glitch. Now you're dealing with 1 million fires versus if there was something wrong with your B2B product, you might have 1 or 2 angry clients that you can then talk down or figure out a path forward that works for everybody. I still like business to consumer. I'm in the movie and TV business also, which is a pure business to consumer play. You want somebody to watch the movie or you want somebody to watch the TV show, which brings us to the second hurdle you're gonna face when switching from B2B to B2C, which is marketing and communication completely changes when the cost of the product goes down. The chocolates were $9 a box. The marshmallows were $4 or $5 a box. These hats were like $25, $30. And with my background, that is extremely limiting because with the $30 hat, you might be making 15 bucks, which is great. But because you're not making as much on each product, for instance, with X27, even if we make 50% margin, 30% margin, even at 30% margin, even a 10% margin on a $10,000 contract is $1,000 a month. And if you're able to have $1,000 to spend on getting a client, that opens up so many doors with a $15 profit. Even if you want to make a little bit of money in there, now you only have $10 to spend because you want to make $5. You only have $10 to spend to find a client. And for me, that's extremely limiting. First of all, it completely invalidates the channel that's made me the most money, which is cold email. Because if you're sitting there and you're sending cold emails according to our process and you're customizing each line, that takes a decent amount of time. And the only way that that's gonna work is if your product costs a decent amount of money, at least over $1,000. I would not use cold email to sell hats. Unless I was selling in batches of 10 or 20,000, it just isn't worth it. So that leads you to Facebook ads. And what I found with our testing is Facebook might take 60, 70 bucks to find a buyer for a specific product. it might be $300. There's a huge range. Sometimes your product's gonna sell for $1 or $2, I assume. I've never gotten that to work. Our profitable Facebook ads campaigns are for $1,000 plus things because it allows us to spend $200, $300, $400, $500, even $600 on getting those first initial buys, which we can then optimize and get the cost down. But if I was selling these hats on Facebook ads, and if I did a complete campaign, you could see what happened in the $100 test when we tried to sell vintage. It's really tough. And if you're thinking about switching from B2B to B2C, I would caution you against pricing your thing too low. I would sell something that was at least $100, if not $1,000, to the consumer. Think about that. The last difficulty, or the thing that was really surprising for me when I started selling a few more of these B2C type products, is how much less back and forth is needed before somebody buys. For a B2B product, especially when you're still figuring out your offer, you might have to answer client questions, go back and forth. Our close time, so the time between when Austin or Robert or Billy or somebody on our sales team would reach out to when those clients were buying from X27, paying us, 5, 6 figures, that time was 6 months sometimes. If I'm waiting 6 months to sell a $30 hat, that's just not gonna work. So in B2C, it's different. People are more likely to buy on the first impression of the ad, the first time they see your product, which is cool. It lets you make money quicker. And if you can get a product that hits in B2C, the scale is immense. B2B will always have a cap on the amount of people you can sell to. And this was one issue that we had with our lead gen agency X27 when we were selling to only other agencies. There were about 3,000 people that we could sell to. And what that meant is after 2 targeted cold email campaigns after 4 months, we hit all 3,000 people with personalized lines. And we quickly saw a huge jump in sales. We closed $400,000 in annual recurring revenue in 30 days, which is sick. But then we saw a steady plateau. We had our revenue, we were locking in revenue, but we weren't seeing the type of growth that we're seeing with the course, which I consider a B2C product. Even though it is selling to businesses, it's selling to entrepreneurs. It's a little bit of a shift in mindset. So those are some of the difficulties I've had switching from B2B to B2C, some of the stuff I've seen. And at the end of the day, I ended up with a hybrid model of B2B to C. Inside our conglomerate, the Quadrant, we still have that B2B marketing firm, X27. We've got the consulting firm where we talk to entrepreneurs, and we've got the secondary X27 consulting firm where we talk to established businesses. Plus, we have the course Email 10K where we teach entrepreneurs how to get that first $100,000, which is key to growing as a person. In the end, I did find a nice hybrid for me between B2B and B2C. And hopefully you can find something like that for yourself. Running a cold email campaign is one of the easiest ways, one of the most straightforward ways I've found to get new clients. We've used it to match with most of the Fortune 500 for our agency clients and a lot of billion-dollar brands we've been able to sell. We've generated millions of dollars of revenue just from cold email. The problem is if you've tried cold email, it's not as straightforward and as easy as it looks. But luckily, we have put together the cold email optimization checklist, and you can have it for free. What this is the internal tool we use to optimize our cold email campaigns. This checklist will teach you or your team when to rewrite the subject line, when to rewrite the body of the email, what to put in the body of the email, how to check the email to make sure there's no errors before the send goes out. All of that in a very straightforward checklist, and you can have it for free. To get it, go over to experiment27.com/checklist, and you can have that download. Again, the URL is experiment27.com/checklist. Do you have any other questions about the difficulty switching between B2B and B2C? Would love to know down in the comments below. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. We do content 3 times a week. Give this video a like, give it a share it to a friend that you think would get value. And again, leave a comment and engage, because I wanna hear what you're dealing with. I wanna hear your struggles as an entrepreneur, because this is a tough road. Tough road we're all going down. And it's always cool to have a nice community to interact with. I'm Alex Berman, thanks for watching.